In this lesson, we want to talk about the standard tools and equipment you're going to use as an HVAC technician. Once completed, you should be able to describe the hand tools used by the air conditioning, heating, and refrigeration technician, and you should be able to describe equipment used to install and service heating, air conditioning, and refrigeration equipment. General hand tools include screwdrivers that will either do straight slot screwdrivers or Phillips screws. You'll use wrenches, including open-end wrenches, box wrench, and the combination wrench. Other wrenches you have will include the pipe wrenches, adjustable wrenches, and you'll have some specialized refrigeration wrenches. You will also use hex keys that are used to turn screws and set screws that have female hex ends, also referred to as Allen wrenches. You'll use several types of pliers. You'll have the pump pliers, you'll have the linesman pliers, you'll have locking pliers, you'll have needle nose pliers, and you'll have slip joint pliers. Each of them have their own uses. Do not use any pliers with teeth on brass or copper fittings. Hammers, you'll use sometimes the ball peen hammer, you'll use the carpenter's claw, and you'll use rubber mallets. Again, always be careful when using hammers to make sure you don't hit yourself or someone else. You'll use some specialized hand tools like stock and dies. The die is used to cut threads on the external surface of piping material. The die fits and locks into the stock during the threading process. The stock is used to facilitate the threading process. There's your die and your stock. And they lock together and create one unit. Electric drills can be corded or battery operated. Some drills are variable speed and some are reversible. Always disconnect the power cord or remove the battery when changing the drill bit. Nut drivers are used to drive hex head screws. They sometimes have a socket thread and they come in a variety of styles. A refrigeration service wrench, it's a ratcheted wrench used to turn square stems on fuel tanks, service valves, and other system components. It can be used on 4 different stem sizes. Crimping tools allow you to cut wire, strip the wire, and crimp solderless connectors onto the ends. Sometimes they can be used to cut small bolts, but be careful with that. You'll also need an inspection mirror. It's a telescopic mirror used to inspect the solder joints for leaks. You cannot see sometimes all sides of the pipes. These inspection mirrors also allow you to take a look at heat exchangers and other areas that are not directly in your line of sight. Tubing cutters are available in different styles and types, used to cut copper and aluminum tubing and piping material. Larger ones are also available for black iron. The flaring blocker yoke are used to create flares in a soft drawn tubing. Swagging tools are used to expand the end of a tube so the two sections of the same size tubing can be joined. It's used in conjunction with a flaring block. You might have tubing benders. They can be spring type or lever type. It's used to bend soft copper or aluminum tubing. You'll have some specialized service tools. One of these is the gauge manifolds. It's your most important piece of equipment. It can read pressures on both the high and the low sides of the system. It can read pressures below atmospheric on the low side, in other words in a vacuum, and it can be of a 2-valve or 4-valve variety. It will have a low side valve, a low side hose, and a low side gauge. It will have a high side gauge, high side valve, and a high side hose. It also has a center hose. When you open the two outside gauges, you're allowing refrigerant to flow between them and the center. You'll also have a U-tube manometer. It can be a mercury or water variety. I would suggest the water since mercury is a hazardous material. It can measure low pressures in inches of water column or millimeters of mercury. The liquid level rises on one side and falls on the other. The difference between the two liquid levels is the pressure reading. So, one side is open to the atmosphere. Then the other side might go to a gas valve. When you connect it and turn the valve on, the liquid will go up on one side and down on the other. Add the two numbers, so 1.75 and 1.75 is 3.5. Electronic vacuum gauges are now greatly used. Measure the vacuum in the refrigeration system using these during the evacuation process. It can measure vacuum down to 50 microns or 0.050 millimeters of mercury, since 1,000 microns equals 1 millimeter mercury. As the vacuum is pulled into on a system, the micron level will drop. And this is an example of the electronic vacuum gauge as a power indicator. As it's in red, as the red lights are lit, it's a very poor vacuum. Green lights, fair vacuum. Yellow lights, good vacuum. A vacuum pump is designed to remove air and non-condensable gases from an air conditioning or refrigeration system. You'll also have some leak detectors. A halide leak detector is used with acetylene, propane, or MAP gas. When ignited, the flame hits a copper disc. Combustion air is drawn through a tube. The open end of the tube is passed over a fitting or pipe. When a leak is detected, the flame will change color from blue to green. You can also use electronic leak detectors. It contains refrigerant sensitive elements. It reacts to leaks with rapid beeping noises. Ultraviolet leak detectors allow you to add UV additive to the system, and then the pipes will glow at the point of the leak using an ultrasonic light. Ultrasonic leak detectors detect the sound of escaping refrigerant. You're going to use a clamp-on ammeter. This is your next one of your most important tools as well. It's used to measure current flow in an electric circuit. The jaws of the meter are clamped around one conductor of the circuit, and the meter can be used to measure the voltage and resistance. You might have a volt, ohm, and milliamp meter. It's often referred to as a multimeter. Measures volts, ohms, and amps. It can be analog or digital in style. Most often now you'll use the digitals. Comes with a number of features, options, and accessories that are add-ons. So the air conditioning, heating, and refrigeration technicians uses a lot of different hand tools. You really should become familiar with them and be able to identify them. Always use the tools and equipment properly. Read the manufacturer's directions. That can save your life. Only use tools for the jobs in which they're intended. A hammer doesn't make a good screwdriver, and a screwdriver doesn't make a good hammer. Improper tool usage can result in personal injury or equipment damage.